All right, so jumping into our three pack, Nick, you and I were having a discussion because you talk to our agents all the time, and you seem to have the ear and some of the discussion that you've been hearing and some of the feedback that you've been hearing from our agents is it's hard to get listings and because sellers don't want to sell, therefore sellers are staying in place. And what do we do? So I came up with a three pack of something that we're doing. You can't always talk sellers into selling, but a lot of times sellers just stay in place because they're just not aware of what else they can do. So for starters, is I love the concept of not selling. For us, it's all about creating personal wealth. I have 6 homes on my resume, Todd, that had somebody said, "Hey, don't sell." Go buy something, but turn that property into an income producing property, I'd probably be a multimillionaire. But I didn't really have anyone really explaining that process. But sellers don't have to be frozen in place due to market conditions. They don't necessarily just have to stay in their home. But most sellers, and this is what I find, most sellers sell because they assume that in order to buy another house, they have to sell they have to sell the home that they're in, and it's not necessarily the case. And the best thing that we can do as real estate professionals is provide options and how our clients can actually build wealth through real estate. And for me, I have found if I give a seller some options, talk them out of selling, turn it into an income producing property. They tend to always use me on the acquisition, which then helps me in my business.
Totally. And you may not, your customer may not come to your seller may not come to the realization while they're doing business with you, but you planted the seed, and down the road, they'll always respect you for really having the knowledge, even if they made the decision not to hold it as a hold property. But, so we don't really know when that particular time is going to happen. And then the other piece of this would be to say to them, or basically as far as wealth is concerned, I lost my train of thought. Mike, go ahead, go to the next thing. I'll come back.
Hey, how you
Sorry.
doing, Nick? But I think it's just, Nick, it's we sit down with a seller and they say, well, I can't sell. I don't want to sell just because of the way that the market is. And then we walk away from them. We don't have to walk away with them because, as you know, it's all about options.
Yeah, I mean, it's having the conversation. A lot of the conversations that we're hearing from agents trying to get people to move on selling their home or doing something in the marketplace is the interest rate they have is way too good. They don't want to lose that interest rate on the next purchase. And so, again, it's just having those conversations to get people in the marketplace. As Todd keeps talking about, we need more people in the marketplace, and we're just not getting it.
And so what you said, Nick, if they've got a low, and to Mike's point, if they've got a low interest rate, that home costs them less than if they went out and bought a new home as an investment today.
I think that's a good point, because that was the missing component of really the premise of all of this is why are sellers not selling. And I think it's for two reasons. One, I've got this interest rate in the high 2s and low 3s. How do I take this out for a longer drive, a longer spin? And then two, not only am I going to give up this incredible interest rate, now I'm going to go grab something in the high 6s and low 7s, and that is where now people become frozen in place.
Absolutely.
So then the question is where do they get money? I try, and I'm working with a client right now, and he's in this situation. He's got 2 properties. He's got an incredible amount of equity in both properties, but he wants to buy a third property. He wants to buy an income producing property, but he can't do he could, but he doesn't want to do a cash out refinance, because if he does a cash out refinance in his one interest property is like 2.9%. Well, if you do a cash out refinance, now all of a sudden that 2.9% goes bye-bye, and now you're having an interest rate in the high 6s, low 7s. So one of the things that we are consulting all of our clients on is check out a HELOC or get a home equity line of credit. They are incredible options for homeowners. What I love about a HELOC, you get it. You don't ever pay on it unless you use it. So it's just there. And for me, I believe every homeowner that has substantial equity should consider getting a HELOC. And it's harder to get one, as you know, Todd. and rates and terms are never as favorable if you get a HELOC on a rental property. So if you have a primary residence, and even if you're thinking about, especially if you're thinking about turning it into an income producing property and then going and buy that other home you're going to move into, get the HELOC before you move, because you're going to have better terms, you're going to have better rates.
Yeah, it's a primary residence for sure. The one piece here that I think people totally misunderstand is if even you're going to purchase an investment property and you're thinking, well, why would I increase my primary residence loan by a HELOC to get the money, as much money as I can, to either pay off or not pay off, but buy for cash or have maybe put it down on that investment property. Here's the reason. If you get a higher loan on your investment property, yeah, part of it's a write-off, just the expense of sale. But the reality is you get to deduct your interest income on a primary residence. So you could even really, instead of putting it on the investment side, put it on the primary side and then be able to write that off.
Yeah, and Nick, as we said, for us, it's just being able to sit down, whether a seller listens to me or not, which a lot of them don't. It's given me that opportunity to have a deeper real estate conversation. And for me as an agent, when I sit down with a seller and I'm providing these types of options and talking about HELOCs, which I know you recently got one. Most agents aren't having these discussions. Correct. When they're sitting down and going through their listing presentation.
We talk about it a lot, about how real estate isn't a solo event. Even if you are working by yourself, you still need to have, and I'm stealing this from the Recon Group, your cabinet behind you, your lender, your title, your escrow, those people that are going to work with you. If you're not having conversations with your lenders about things like this, you're not going to be able to bring options to your clients because you just don't have that knowledge. And I don't think you should be an expert in lending, but you definitely want to know these types of programs. And I was pretty shocked talking to Mike and Ryan about getting HELOCs and having conversations with other agents. They just don't know what these are. They don't know how to provide them. They don't have the resources to make suggestions because they're not having conversations with their lenders and with their cabinet about other ways of getting their clients into the market.
Well, also, Mike, a lot of times it was that people were borrowing money out of their equity. Yeah. And then when they went to sell, they didn't have all the equity, but they bought the car, the boat, all the things that just appreciate to nothing, instead of putting that money into something and then going and buying the boat with the income on the product you bought.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I would just say, if you're not familiar with HELOCs, obviously, get the knowledge, learn about HELOCs. Note that a lot of the lenders that you work with, they don't offer HELOCs. It's a specialty product, and I have a guy that I use from PNC. If you're interested in being introduced, you can email me at MikeW@WestUSA. He'll walk you through it. I recently got a HELOC, for my house through him, and now I'm sitting on this gold mine of available cash that I can go out now and reinvest. And like I said, it's all about options. And so the talking points when you're talking with sellers and homeowners about this, this is your opportunity to realize potential equity by turning your home into an income producing property. Your home that you're thinking about selling is, let's say, worth $500,000 today. They're estimating that some experts predict home values are going to go up nearly 24% in the next 5 years. Let's say it's just 25% because that's a round even number. Now, all of a sudden, if I hang on to this home for another 5 years with a renter in there, I'm now going to make possibly another $125,000 worth of equity. The next house I'm going to go buy, if I buy one now or in the next couple of months, I'm going to get a good price. That home is going to go up 24 to 25% in the next 5 years. My house that I've turned into an income producing property, I'm going to realize positive cash flow. I'm going to still realize those tax benefits. And then every month, my tenant, my renter, pays my mortgage. He's buying down my principal. So you always got to understand the 4 ways we make money in real estate.
It's funny because, you get the money, you get your investment property, and people are always doing that. They're always saying, oh, maybe I should, sell my investment property and go over and buy another investment property. And the argument is always, why would you do that? However, there are times when it makes sense to do that. Maybe you are depreciating your investment properties. I don't recommend it. Maybe your accountant does, but that's, maybe based on your portfolio. But one of the things is that if you put money into places that is going to accelerate and grow faster than the expense that it's costing you, Oh my gosh, it always makes sense. And you have to look at both sides of the equation too. You got income. Every year you should be making somewhere between 7 to 10 or 12%. This is not an Airbnb conversation, but you should be making somewhere between 7 to 10% on your rentals, on your investment. In addition, as far as monthly payments are concerned, plus the 4% that it's going to appreciate, or Mike, you said 5% per year on average. So just call it 5% per year. If somebody really understood how much they're making, they would never make these other decisions. We have to get smart in explaining this.
I mean, you're looking at okay, I always
Hundreds of
hear,
thousands. Yeah.
I don't want to be a landlord.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to be a landlord. It's not being a landlord. It's running a business.
Absolutely.
And yes, being a landlord can be inconvenient at times.
Sure.
And sometimes I have to do this, and sometimes my house sits vacant. But when I take a look at turning this property into an income producing property over the next 5 years, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'm making through the four ways that I make money in real estate, you know what? It's running a business. Running any business is an inconvenience. And so it's just, and to take it, and all of it, you talk about how much money did you put down to buy that house in the first place?
Exactly.
5%, 3.5% if you got an FHA loan?
Well,
Money's nuts.
if you look at a property manager and you say they're going to earn just ballpark it at 10%, and there really aren't a lot of them will do better than that per month. But you take a look at a property manager, and yes, you say at the end of the year, I don't want to run my own business. Okay, well, get your CPA to run the tax part, and then get a property manager to run the day-to-day part. If you don't want to do that, especially maybe if you have more properties, you don't want to end up being that person. But 10%, and then you can go to sleep at night, not have to worry about somebody calling you at 9:30, 10 o'clock saying I've got water all over my floor.
Yeah, I don't even manage my own properties.
I don't either.
Because I don't want those calls.
Nope.
All right. Well, this is, again, it's all about options, and it's all about having different type of conversation with homeowners and being able to explain the options that sellers have. So, all right. Well,
This was a good segment.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So that is our 3-pack for the day. All right.